each. Mic check 1 2. What to do? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today we're talking about Errol Spence Jr. and what's next on the slate for him. But before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate that feedback. All right, y'all. So Errol Spence Jr., former unified welterweight champion, coming off a loss to Terence Crawford, current undisputed champion at 147 pounds. This fight took place on July 29th. As everybody is watching and listening to this channel knows, Errol Spence took a pretty severe beating in this fight. In some ways, he didn't look like himself, but in other ways, Terence Crawford just looked super amazing. So you have to give credit where credit is due. That being said, initially, they set up a rematch clause in the contract to get this fight signed, and the loser of the fight was able to initiate a rematch, and the winner is able to pick the weight class in which they'll compete. Now, all things considered, both men expressed concerns about making 147 pounds, and Terence Crawford seems to have already, in some ways, agreed to go ahead and just do the rematch at 154. I don't think he was 100% happy with the weight cut that he needed to do to get to 147. Errol Spence, in my opinion, looked like the weight cut really impacted him. He's naturally a bigger person than Terence Crawford, and I think it did have some impact on the outcome of the fight. However, there were some technical issues that definitely decided the outcome of this fight. I think if Errol Spence was at a healthier weight, if he wasn't coming off the long layoff, things of that nature, I think he sees the final bell, but I still believe he probably loses that particular fight if he brings the exact same game plan, if you follow what I'm saying. So let's say it was at 154. He cuts the weight good. There's this rib injury that's floating around out there. So if these factors aren't in play, I still don't know that that's enough for him to win the fight, So all that said, I think it's worth a second look. Initially, because of the one-sided nature of the fight, I wasn't too keen on a rematch. However, having time to process, think, and then the fact that Errol Spence has, in this month since the fight, not said a thing about having an excuse, a reason he didn't win. He simply said he wanted to get it back in blood, and he even told his son, "We gotta go run that back immediately after the fight." So that tells me he likely knew he wasn't at his best the day of the fight, but he wasn't going to stall it out. He missed a grand opportunity to fight Manny Pacquiao due to an injury. So if he had anything that might have even been a given that, hey, maybe you should take an extra 2 weeks before you have this fight or whatever, take an extra month, he wasn't going to let that get in the way of this opportunity, number one, at legacy, and number two, at a payday. So credit to him for pushing through and going ahead and getting in there, probably knowing he was compromised. And that's why I think his enthusiasm for a rematch was so immediate. Some guys will immediately say, well, I got to talk to my team, this and that. I mean, soon in the post-fight press conference, like a man, he came out, no shades. He let you see the lumps that he took. And he was like, nah, hopefully we can run it back at 154. And that's that. He didn't even think about it. So that encourages me that he's going to come in more prepared. I think the fact that he wants to run it back in December is that he doesn't want the opportunity for ring rust to set in. And subconsciously, he knows that maybe you should have taken the tune-up. Maybe you should have done something in between before you got in the ring with a fighter like Terence Crawford, who clearly has shown that he is one of the elites of his generation, if not the best fighter of his generation. So all of that said, I think all of this played into his mindset. And as soon as the fight was waved off and that final bell rung, basically, I think the reality of him not being the most prepared really showed. Now, from a technical standpoint, not going to get too far into it because I want to analyze this on its own and maybe even get some film behind it on the Patreon. So I'm not going to go too far into it, but I do want to give a basic idea of what I'm picturing. I think from a technical standpoint, there's some things he could do to absolutely be more competitive. Does it result in a victory? That remains to be seen. There's a lot of technical things that have to be cleaned up in order for him to overcome the skill gap that Terence Crawford is going to bring to the table. The one thing that he was relying on, being bigger and stronger, did not play in his favor. He wasn't really bigger. He didn't look like he filled out or rehydrated properly. And then he definitely didn't appear to be the stronger man because Terence Crawford was able to muscle him in situations where they were toe-to-toe. I do believe at a healthier weight, there's nothing that says that they can't fight at 160. And now Terence Crawford has conceded something like that. And the fact that they're probably not going to be fighting for belts on this next run, I would say, hey, see if you want to do it at 58. See if you do it at 60. Give yourself a little bit more hydration. Make him have to muscle up a little bit more and try to talk him into it. You did concede some things in the first negotiation. I think maybe you could say, hey, man, people will likely buy this fight if it's at a bigger weight because they'll think I have a better chance. So if you want to get to a comfortable bag and make it worth the run back, maybe we do it at a weight that from a optics standpoint looks more comfortable for me. Whether you think you're the better fighter or not, that don't matter to the fact that people will not pay to see a fight anywhere near 147. So maybe the further away we can get, the better. So if he can appeal to his sensibilities and his concept of maybe want to get his bag later in his career as well and just get the big fights, maybe that's how things play out. That's one thing I think from a technical standpoint can help him because maybe he gets the strength that he needs. In addition, he should be moving his head. If he's already back in training now, he on vacation, he should be doing head movement all day, every day. Punch, move your head, punch, move your head, punch while moving your head, things like that. That will go a long way. And then change the speed and timing. Shout out to Greg from the Angry Man podcast, AM Sports Media. He pointed this out almost immediately. He said Errol throws everything at the same speed and at the same power. He's got to vary the speed and tempo of his jab because while it's one of the better jabs in boxing, it is something that can be timed by an elite fighter like Terence Crawford. So those are some things that I really believe he's going to have to get into the lab. Derrick James is really going to have to work with him. And as many have been saying, I don't necessarily feel this way coming off one loss. Get another voice in there that can maybe say some things that Errol can hear, because you know how you go earblind to certain stuff, whether it's your spouse, your parents, your kids, they say certain things and you stop hearing it after a while and you got to get a reset. That could be going on in that camp, but I don't think that's the problem because I do believe that he truly respects Derrick. I think it's really just something about him maybe just getting some different eyes for something simple that maybe Derrick has seen the same thing so long, he can't see the flaw in it. So maybe it's something like that. But interesting to see how this is going to play out. If they bring anybody in, if they don't, I'm not going to be mad. I'm still going to order the fight. This is, my preferred, this is my favorite fighter. So obviously I'm going to support him and his family with my dollars. And then at the same time, support the sport of boxing, but also supporting Terence Crawford and his family with my dollars. And I hope you all would do the same because these are two of the elite and the best are choosing to fight each other, not once, but twice. So we'll love to get your thoughts in the comments. This has been T for the Mic Check Podcast. Until the next time, I'm out. Peace.